Morning, folks. My name is Jim Aspel. I'm a board-certified workers' compensation attorney in Farmington, Connecticut. And about a month ago, I did a blog post on our website talking about why back cases, particularly cases with an L5-S1 spinal fusion, generally produced larger workers' compensation settlements. And we got quite a bit of response to that post. So I just wanted to do a quick video to kind of clarify things. In our practice, an L5-S1 fusion is a fairly common medical condition that we see. Generally, it occurs when a worker herniates a disc. There's an actual protrusion of the internal gel of the disc onto the spinal cord, causing a weakness or a pins and needles sensation, typically in one leg or the other, depending on what side the disc herniates. And depending on the extent of the protrusion, the general surgical fix, the gold standard anyways, is what's called a spinal fusion. So in that procedure, the orthopedic surgeon or the neurosurgeon will go in there and they will actually put a metal plate between the two disc levels, the L5 and the S1 disc level, and they will fuse it so that there's not a lot of movement, and that typically reduces the encroachment on the nerve, and the client is definitely left without pain. So where is the L5-S1 level of the back? Generally, that's where your lumbar spine meets the start of your tailbone. So it's pretty far down, typically at the bottom of your back, the top of your buttocks. That's the level that we're talking about. And we see that a lot. It's a pretty common area that workers injure, primarily in lifting if you bend over the wrong way or you pick up a box and it's heavier than you expect or it's heavier than you're used to. If you're deconditioned or you just happen to hit it the wrong way, things happen, and unfortunately people do tend to herniate discs at that level. So it's a fairly common thing. It becomes a problem because that level of the back generally is sort of the building block for everything above it. So when you have a situation where the surgeon goes in and fuses that L5-S1 level, what happens is the level above that, the L4-5 level, so moving higher up the back, that fusion at the area below it is going to put increased pressure or tension on the level above it. And what we tend to see happen over time is there is a second protrusion at the L4, L5 level, the level above the fusion that was previously done. So what that results in is the surgeon has to go back in and now do a two-level fusion. So now you're fused from L4 to S1. And the problem becomes, it becomes sort of a cascading thing where each level that's fused puts increased pressure on the level above it. So clients / patients with that particular situation tend to have problems. Now, the reason that those cases are valuable is because obviously spinal surgery isn't cheap. Typically there's an orthopedic surgeon and often a neurosurgeon. Both are involved in the procedure. So that's going to cost money. When you're valuing the case, you have to put in the value of the medical care, and that's a big figure right there. And typically the recovery period is long. So you're going to have 3 or 4 months perhaps of total disability, maybe another 3 or 4 months of partial disability on top of that. All the while during that period of time, you're collecting workers' compensation benefits. You're going to be doing physical therapy. Frequently, you're going to be doing pain management. So there's a lot of adjuvant charges that go into the settlement calculation. The other thing is that typically these spinal fusions produce high permanent partial disability ratings. So again, that's another component when we were coming up with a settlement. If you get a higher if you get a higher percentage of disability, you're going to get a higher settlement. Just that's how the math works out. So that's kind of what we see, and that's sort of why these spinal fusions are typically higher value cases. So, not to say if you don't need the procedure, you shouldn't do it, but for workers' compensation purposes, those are typically what we would consider a big deal. Now, there's a difference between a lumbar spinal fusion, so when we're talking about an L level of the spine, the lower level, and a cervical fusion, so typically a fusion in the neck area of the spine. Those typically we don't tend to see as much level to level encroachment. It does exist, but it's definitely not as common as what we see in the low back. The low back is generally it's handling a higher force load, and it's put under more pressure. The neck basically has to hold up your head, and once you're fused, typically we see that clients are doing pretty well with those. So I hope that helps. The main thing is that it's an area that is frequently going to result in more than one surgical procedure. Oftentimes we see a 2-level fusion. Occasionally you're going to see a 3-level fusion. I think I've actually seen a 5-level fusion at one point. That would be pretty rare, and hopefully that wouldn't happen to you. But you're altering the natural mechanics of your back, and while it does relieve the pain and increase your function, that does come with a price, and it comes with a price with lack of mobility. It also comes with a price for the workers' compensation carrier, because the value of your case for settlement purposes is going to go up. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to give me a call. We're in Farmington, 860-523-8783. We do have some information on spinal fusions on our website. You're welcome to visit that at any time. It's www.aspbellaw.com. And again, you can always shoot us an email. I'm more than happy to give you a consultation on a Connecticut workers' compensation case without charge at any time. Hope you're having a good day, and I hope that helps you out a little bit. Thanks.